Good day, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to our first Makro Marketplace seller engagement session with Kasi Konnect. Today, we have the privilege of having Janice from Kasi Konnect to talk about how can sellers or entrepreneurs to be market ready. Now, for those who do not know what Kasi Konnect is, Kasi Konnect, it's a platform that is focused on empowering entrepreneurs, and specifically township entrepreneurs, with business development support, network opportunities, and to get access, to the market. They empower these entrepreneurs by giving them business support and scaling their business and giving them opportunity to understand business in relation to supply chain. Janice, I welcome you to our first seller engagement session.
Thank you, Tato. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Now, I mentioned that Kasi Connects, provide access, to market to the township entrepreneurs. And our topic today is about how can sellers or entrepreneurs or Kasipreneurs, as you call them at Kasi Connect, to be market ready. Please explain to us, what does it mean to be market ready?
It's a great question, and thank you so much for that. So, a lot of entrepreneurs, whether they're in the Kasi or elsewhere, make the mistake of thinking they have a product, people have told them they like it, they're selling it maybe in formal markets, but probably mostly in informal markets. And they make the error of thinking they're market ready. And firstly, if you've developed that product, congratulations, because you're really close. If you've developed it and people like it, you're really on the way. But there are aspects to market access that talk to market readiness. And they're really 3 pointers. The one is brand, the one is product, and the one is professionalism. So, Tatu, when we talk about brand, what we're really talking about is the brand identity, the storytelling of it. We're in a world that is so noisy in terms of brands. If you think of when you walk into a macro store and you look at the shelves, brands pop out at you. There are hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands, and you have to stand out, and you can do this through identity and storytelling. Then when we think about product, as good as the product may be, it needs to have quality assurance and it needs to have certain compliances. Of course, if it's a food-based product, compliances are quite rigorous. But even in other areas, there are compliances. So it's about quality and compliance. And finally, when we talk about a business, it's about professionalism. So it's about really how you engage with your audience, how you create up user groups, maybe on some social media platforms, and how you respond to customers, whether they're queries, compliments, or complaints. So for Kasipreneurs, have a real email address. Don't be tato12345@gmail.com. Have a proper address with your brand name in it. Register the domain. These are not expensive things, but they're really important things. So for us, that's kind of the story of market access. It's those 3 essentials. It's brand, it's quality, and it's professionalism.
You mentioned product quality or product readiness. So how is it important that sellers or entrepreneurs should invest into their products when they have an aim on selling on Makro Marketplace or any other marketplaces?
So once again, you are really competing with lots of other brands. And there are brands that have maybe spent more years in development than your brands, or they're brands that have gone through the SABS certification processes and they've been verified. These are important things. Consumers want to know that someone said, yes, this brand's okay to be used by consumers. So there are a number of steps to that. And this quality control is so important. I once heard a Kasipreneur talk about how compliance has been the best friend in his business. And he said without compliance, he would never have progressed the way he did. And I think that's a good story to follow. It's about knowing what the compliances are that relate to your specific sector and following them.
What common mistakes do you see sellers or entrepreneurs going to the marketplace do when they do the product listing on a seller portal, on a seller portal?
Think that many entrepreneurs and online sellers make assumptions. So they're selling a face cream. Maybe it's got moringa or shea butter or lovely natural products that are indigenous to Africa. And they just make an assumption that we all know what these things are and we all know what the benefits are. That's when that storytelling comes in. So don't make assumptions that the market understands you and it's going to buy because you're a Kasipreneur. I think you being a Kasipreneur, you've already overcome a lot of friction and hurdles, and be proud of that, but then start competing on a level of absolute quality and professionalism. Don't assume, tell the story, and stand out in how you tell it. Be unique.
Tell us more about packaging, because you get entrepreneurs who just focus on creating a product but do not focus more on packaging,
It's
particularly for e-commerce.
Yeah, it's such a good point. And you know, we've talked a lot, Tatu and I, and we've talked how e-commerce and Makro's online marketplace really is a shelf. It's like walking down an aisle. It just happens to be online and it's a virtual aisle. So if you're comparing five similar products and one has astounding packaging, three have really nice packaging, and one has okay packaging, you know, you're going to veer to what's visually appealing. So it is an important story. You need to see what competitors are doing. You need to make sure that your brand has a standoutness. And of course, that in itself is challenging in today's busy brand world. If we look at the world of brands, it's crowded, it's busy, there are some brilliant designs from some very, very beautiful multinational companies, and now they're asking us to compete. Well, I've got news for you. You can compete. You can make for beautiful design. Beautiful design is coming out of Ekasi, and you can do it. You can do it. Make sure it stands out. Make sure it tells your story. It has your brand personality in it, and don't leave it up to the buyer to make a decision based on the fact that you're a Kasipreneur and the others aren't.
I'm picking up in terms of when you talk about being market ready, you are referencing, storytelling. So how crucial is branding or marketing, for sellers who want to stand out in the marketplace?
It's a great question and should deserve a very long answer, but I'm going to give the concise answer and then possibly send you away to explore some things. So a brand is not a logo, and a logo it's just the signature. You are your brand. You walk out, I'm Janice, I dressed in black and white today. This is brand me today. And I have a signature that I signed in here with. That's your logo. Your logo is your signature. It says, this belongs to. There's more to a brand than that. And you have to think about that brand. You have to think about the brand's personality, its tonality. Who are you appealing to? Is it a younger audience, an older audience? Is it a professional audience? Is it a school-going audience? Is it a university? Who are your audience? And please know, you can never say our audience is everybody. You say, I'm selling a body lotion. Your audience is never, ever everybody. No brand in the world has enough budget to sell to everybody. No brand in the world. So you have to really narrowly refine who your audience is and tell them the story. And that's branding. So you start developing a personality. Look at brands around you. Some have quite a fun, quirky personality. Let's take Nando's. Nando's have always veered to that fun, quirky, taking South African news, making it topical, involving it in their ads. And that's what we expect. We expect that brand to make us laugh. And that's what they do. They're not a serious brand. We are just products from Portuguese chicken with an African. They don't talk about that. They talk about the fun side of Nando's. And that's what you have. You have to decide who you are. And you can't kind of go, we'll be fun today and serious tomorrow, because then your audience is really confused. Your brand needs to be defined. So when I say a brand is not a logo, a brand really is everything behind that logo. Is it fun? Is it quirky? Is it serious? Is it authentic? Is it very African? Is it inspirational? Is it aspirational? What are the characteristics? And when you decide that, you create a tone of your language. How do we speak? So when I talk about Kasi Konnect and I talk about market access and Kasipreneurs getting into mainstream economies, my brand Kasi Konnect is an aspirational brand. And I've always decided the language will be aspirational. And that's where we are. So you have to make these decisions. So go and read up a little bit on brand and find your unique story and then package it in a unique language.
Janice, whilst you're talking about branding and marketing, can you perhaps then give us, some strategies or effective strategies for branding and marketing that our sellers can do whilst they're penetrating, the market?
Fantastic. And we know that branding and marketing are two very different things. So again, when we talk branding, that's the identity. That's like the identity document of your product or your service. When we talk marketing, it's telling your distinct audience, this is who we are and this is what we can do for you. So be sure that you are very clear on that definition. This is the branding, it's the color scheme, it's the language we've decided. We've defined the audience. This is our logo. This is how you can use it or you can't use it. Marketing, this is how we're going to translate what was the brand into the marketing channels. And we're going to tell the story in this kind of way. We're going to use videos. We're going to have interviews by the CEO. We're going to have testimonials from customers. We're going to put them on TikTok and Instagram. We're going to stand outside Makro. These are channels. These are the marketing channels, and you're defining the marketing message. So you're taking the brand, all the elements that you decided, you're translating it into a marketing message, and then you're delivering it through a variety of channels.
Can you tell us what I know many sellers now do digital marketing and social media. Can you maybe just expand on social media or digital marketing, for our sellers or SMMEs who want to penetrate the market?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I've talked a lot to Kasipreneurs about, because we have their profiles on Kasi Konnect, is starting, you've got a beautiful product. Maybe you've packaged it and branded it and you've gone through all the compliances. And then it comes to taking a photograph, because that photograph is going to travel through your digital media. Make sure it's a great photograph. I have a lot of Kasipreneurs who take quick snaps and deliver them. The photo's stretched, the photo lighting is not good. And actually, I'm not even saying hire a professional photographer. I'm saying play around with your cell phone, because our cell phones today have enormous camera potential. So once you get all of that and you start thinking about your social media channels, we've got a lot available to us today. The first thing I'm going to say, be consistent. If you say I'm going to post twice a week, post twice a week. Don't go weeks without doing it. Post twice a week. acknowledge people's comments, thank people for liking, post things that you think people will engage with. People like to hear what other people think. They like customer testimonial, and social media is a great place to do that. So you've got this array of channels from Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Google Ads. You've got all of these. One, obviously, you have to go within your range of affordability. But most importantly, remember we spoke about your defined audience. You have to be speaking to your audience. So what we know is that the younger generation have left Facebook. They're on Insta and TikTok. If that's your audience, that's where you should be. If it's an older a product for an older generation, they're still very much on Facebook. So start educating yourself on where your audience is. This information is all available online. Who's watching Facebook? Who are the users of TikTok? What is the demographic? We're so lucky today. We've got information at our fingertips all the time. I mean, the internet has really become this deliverer of ask anything. So ask anything. Know where you're putting it. Be consistent. Make sure your photography is of a standard, because you may have a great looking product, but delivered in a really poor photograph, poor lighting, the kitchen in the background, etc. And people will not view it in a positive light. So make sure you do everything to have your product viewed in the most positive light.
Wow, thanks for that. One of the components that you mentioned in the beginning, you spoke about compliance. And tell us more about sellers or SMMEs or Kasipreneurs, why they have to focus on being compliant when they're creating products, and what are the challenges that they may face if they're creating products that do not meet the necessary regulatory requirements.
Absolutely, Tato. So we already know that professional marketplaces like the Makro Marketplace require compliance. They, of course, can't take risks of putting products onto their marketplace that have not met the standards in that specific country. So for the vast majority, it's the South African Bureau of Standards. We're working on opening more conversations, but we've already had a number of conversations. The friction points or the barriers for Kasipreneurs is cost. It's expensive. And I think that's something we all need to work towards, supporting Kasipreneurs. So don't turn away from compliance, even if you can do it in small steps and say, I can have one test done this month. I can then focus on the next test and the next test. Once you've got that compliance, you're up and running. You're ready to sell in professional marketplaces. You're ready for macro. So yes, it's tough, and these things are expensive, but my advice is bite the bullet and get through them as you can, but don't avoid them, because you avoid them and that forces a lot of businesses just to stay in a very narrow, informal value chain. And we want to get you selling as much as possible.
Finally, Janice, what would be the one advice that will give, to our sellers, to our SMMEs who are aiming to become market ready? What would be that one piece of advice that will give for them?
One piece of advice. That's a tough one after everything we've discussed, right? So I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to say the first piece is believe in yourself. You've come this far. Have self-belief that you can see your product online in the Makro Marketplace being sold and being distributed to customers everywhere. Have self-belief and believe you can be there. But the real piece of advice from a professional business perspective, you've brought it this far. Look at the big picture. What does it take to get there? And tackle it as you can. We can't all do things overnight. I've been in business for 33 years as an entrepreneur, and I can't achieve things overnight. Just have that picture in your head and follow the steps. Can I do one bit of compliance? Can I do one product test this month? Can I get my branding ready? Just follow the steps and have that self-belief that you can do it, because you all can.
Thanks, Janice. We do really appreciate the opportunity. Sellers, SMMEs, entrepreneurs, gasopreneurs, you have now had the opportunity to understand what does it mean to be market ready. You have to consider marketing and branding, being compliance ready, product readiness, and most importantly, believe in yourself as sellers or entrepreneurs. If you want to join Makro Marketplace, which we do encourage you to do so, please register at seller.makro.co.za. Thank you.